welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been so long since I did YouTube. I really wanted to get back into it, but I just haven't had the time. But I've got a new little man to introduce you to. So my last YouTube video I did was after I'd had a miscarriage the year before last. And I haven't been back on YouTube since, but last year I got pregnant and we've just had our little rainbow baby boy. His name is Rian and he's just the most perfect little bundle of joy. I'm so in love. I didn't think I could love something so much, but he's just amazing. So he's 4 weeks old now. It's just flying by, so I'm like trying to enjoy every single moment. So I wanted to come on and do my birth story. It ended up being a bit of an emergency, so some of you might find this useful, but I really wanted to document it and take you along with me. So yeah, let's get into it. I was overdue, so I was due on the 14th of April. On Sunday the 21st of April, I still hadn't had him, so I was trying to do everything possible to get him out. I was 41 plus 2 days. Around Monday lunchtime, I lost my mucus plug. And then after that, that's when I started getting mild contractions. So I didn't have to be induced, luckily. So by the evening, they really ramped up. So I went for a walk, kind of just to distract myself. And then I was using the Freya app, don't know if you've heard of it, to time my contractions. So you basically just press a button every time you have a surge. You can see that. And it's really good as well. It does affirmations. So I was just really focusing on the affirmations. You can hear them. And I had my AirPods in and I was just really in the moment trying to focus on each contraction. I think it got to about 1 AM in the morning and they were really painful. I was finding it really difficult. So I rang the birth centre and just gave them a bit of an update and said I'm in active labour. And she said just try and stay at home for as long as possible. My contractions they were a bit sporadic. They weren't like becoming as regular as they should be to go in. So I carried on for a couple more hours. She said to have a bath as well. And then it got to about 3 AM and I was like, oh, this is so painful. Like it's really starting to hurt now. And I was just exhausted. I hadn't really slept for a couple of days. Then it got to just before 4 AM and he wasn't really moving as much as he was earlier on. I think after I had the bath, he kind of slowed down a bit and then I couldn't really feel him at all. So I rang the birth centre back and they said to come in and go to Clinic 23, which is like where they check babies' movements. But yeah, they put me on the monitor and just kept an eye, but again, he still wasn't really moving. I was in there for quite a while, and then she checked how much I was dilated basically, and I was 3 centimetres. She said, we're not going to send you home now, we've got to wait for the ward to come up where you go before you go to the delivery suite. And then she checked me again and I was 6 centimetres, and that was quite quick, so which was amazing. So she was like, let's get you ready to go down to the delivery suite. I'm using my TENS machine and I had a wooden comb which I swore by. It was the best money I've ever spent on Amazon. I think it was like a couple of pounds. It was really good. So basically every time I had a contraction I was just squeezing this comb and it kind of distracted my brain from the contraction and gave me something else to focus on. So once we got into the delivery suite, I was really pleased with the room. So I couldn't go in the birth centre because of his reduced movements, which I was gutted about really, because I wanted to try and have a water birth, but I didn't have a plan, so what would be would be. But the room I went in had a pool and they had like Bluetooth and stuff. It was a really nice room, so I was really pleased with that. So when I got in there, I started on gas and air, which was great to start with. I was loving it. I thought it was really good fun. And I was taking that for about 40 minutes and she was like, shall we run the bath? So I was running the bath, and in the space of the time that the bath took to run, the contractions ramped up and the gas and air was no longer really doing much for me. It was taking the edge off, but I was still like, oh my god, this is so painful. And I just felt like I was about 10 centimetres at this point. And those baths take so long to fill up. It felt like it took forever. So I didn't actually end up getting in the bath because I was like, please can I have an epidural? And I knew in my head that I needed to ask for the epidural quite quickly because I know that they can take a while for the anaesthetist to be available to do it. It takes about 20 minutes to work. And then that's where things started to go a bit wrong, a bit downhill. So when you have an epidural now, they basically give you a button to press to top it up. So she said after like 15 minutes, if you feel it wearing off, press the button and it will top it back up again. So I topped it up, and then I just remember feeling like really funny. I felt really dizzy. I felt like I was going to faint even though I was laying down. I said to Eamon, I just don't feel right. I feel really weird. Like, can you call the midwife? And then I remembered I had the buttons pressed because she'd popped out of the room. So anyway, she came back in the room. She was like, okay, I'm just going to press this button. And basically like 5 people came running in. And basically my blood pressure had gone down and his heart rate had gone down at the same time as well. So they gave me loads of fluids, which made me feel so much better. And his heart rate started to come back up, but they popped my waters, I think. That didn't go. It doesn't go like it does in the films. It's not like a massive gush. Mine just went like, trickled out every time I had a contraction. So they did that to help him. And then after that, it was kind of stabilised for a bit, and then my epidural wasn't working so well. My left hand side, I could feel like cramps and stuff still. So I was like moving around on the bed and stuff, and then I moved once onto my right side and his heart rate went right down again. And then at that point it wasn't coming back up. They all came rushing back in, and basically they said to me, I think you're probably gonna have to get prepped to have a general anaesthetic so we can get him out really quickly, or an emergency C-section. So yeah, by this point I was like quite scared. I've never had an operation before, so it was pretty daunting. They know what they're doing, but when you've got that many people rushing in, telling you all the risk factors, they said to me, you might have to, do you give us permission to give you a hysterectomy if we need to? Eamon couldn't come in if it was a general anaesthetic. It was all just like very rushed, and quite scary. So poor Eamon was just standing in the background, just didn't know what the hell to do. So anyway, they were umming and ahhing for a while, and then his heart rate did come back up a little bit. And then they had another emergency that they had to go to. So they just kept monitoring me for a while. And then, yeah, he just wasn't happy. Like, his heart rate kept dipping, and there just something wasn't right. So they said, you can either have an emergency C-section or we can try an oxytocin drip. I think that's what it was, to get you to dilate. So I wasn't dilating anymore. I'd got to 6 centimetres and then nothing was happening. And I just felt like something wasn't right. So I just went with my gut and went with the emergency C-section. By this point, my mum had turned up. I texted her and I was like, you need to come. And she walked in and she started crying, bless her. And then Eamon started crying, and then I was crying. Just having your mum there just makes a massive difference. Like, I just felt like I needed my mum. God, sorry, I'm getting upset. Oh, God. So then they wheeled me round to surgery. Hello. Yeah. You can say hello. Oh, are you sleepy? You're so well behaved. I can only describe it as something like out of Holby City, where they like move you onto the bed and they were sticking all these stickers on me and everyone's introducing themselves, and they were spraying me with this spray to see if I could feel it. And because the epidural wasn't working 100%, they gave me a spinal block, which is the weirdest thing. I could feel the cold fluid going down my spine, and then I couldn't feel anything really from like my chest down. Then I just again started feeling really funny, but I think I was just like really anxious. I remember saying my face feels funny, and then I remember saying I can feel it, like, and she was like, can you actually feel it, or does it hurt? And I was like, I don't know. So anyway, they proceeded to cut me open, and I couldn't feel it. I could feel like the tugging and stuff, but I couldn't, like, it wasn't painful. And then, yeah, I can only describe it as basically feeling like the inside of a washing machine. He came out, and this is where, like, I can't really remember much. It was all very blurry. Eamon said when they held him up, he had the cord around his neck, so I think that's why he was getting a bit upset in there. So then Eamon went and cut the cord, and then they put him on me, which I don't really remember, to be honest. I don't remember what I said, which is such a shame because it's such a special moment. But yeah, they did put him on me, and then they were stitching me up for about 45 minutes. So I was in surgery for about an hour. And I just remember laying there thinking, am I okay? Like, am I going to be all right? Is he all right? Like, yeah, it was bizarre. And I said to Eamon the other day, I said, did I even have him when they will be round to recovery? And he was like, yeah, he was on your chest. And I was like, I don't remember any of that. We didn't have our phones either. So the midwife luckily took some pictures. But, yeah, I don't remember that at all. And then we went round to recovery, and I was in there for about 5.5 hours, and I was just like completely out of it. Like, I do not remember much at all. My mum was there for a little bit, but she went home. I think she was just didn't want to see me like that, really. I just remember being on this blood pressure machine, and I just remember feeling like I was drifting in and out of, like, not consciousness, but I think I was just really tired, and I just kept thinking, if my blood pressure goes down, am I going to wake up? Like, I need to stay awake so my blood pressure doesn't go down. I don't know, I was getting in my own head a bit with it, I think. And then they were coming around to, like, change my pad and change my catheter and stuff, and she moved my legs, and it was so weird. It was like an out-of-body experience. Like, my legs didn't feel like they were my legs. Like, they felt like sponge, and like they weren't attached to my body. It was almost like a mannequin. It was just so weird. And I was thinking, oh my God, is the feeling ever going to come back in my legs? It was bizarre. We went up to the ward where you have your babies around 11 o'clock. Didn't get much sleep. He was very well behaved, but it's just loud, and his other babies crying and stuff. So yeah, I didn't get much sleep. And then the next day, about lunchtime, they came round and helped me get out of bed, took my catheter out, and helped me to, like, get up and move, which is mental to think that you can do that so quick after major abdominal surgery. But they helped me go to the loo, and then I think I managed to have a shower about 4 or 5, and then they have to do all the checks on the baby to make sure he's okay, make sure that I could go to the toilet before they would let me leave, loads of stuff like that, really. And then I just really wanted to go home that day. We could have stayed for another night, but I just really wanted to go home. So I think we eventually got discharged around 8 o'clock. And I walked to the car park. They said to me, do you want a wheelchair? And I said, no, it's alright, I can walk. But I just don't know why I did that. I walked to the car park and got in the back of the car, whereas I could have just got Eamon to drive the car to the front of the hospital and pick me up. The first night was really hard. I literally could not move. I couldn't get out of bed. I was trying to feed him. Change his nappy. When you've had a cesarean, it's such a major operation. I wasn't really quite prepared for how major it is. I did go out like 4 days afterwards for a walk, and went to town and stuff, and I just massively overdid it. And it's only now, 4 weeks later, that I'm finally starting to feel a lot better. So I would say, if you are having a C-section, just really take it easy. The actual wound healed quite quickly. It's just the internal pain that I found really hard. The other thing I found really hard was the baby blues. I cried so much for about 3 days straight. when my milk came in. I was crying at everything. I was crying that he wasn't in my stomach anymore. I was crying that he would never be this small anymore. I was crying because I loved him so much. It's crazy, the hormones. I couldn't ask for more. Very, very lucky. And yeah, I can't wait to see what he's going to be like as he grows and gets bigger. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying our little bubble. So I'm going to wrap it up there. It feels good to come on and do YouTube again. I'm going to hopefully try, now on maternity leave, if I do have time, to do a bit more YouTube where I can and get back into doing some fashion content and hauls, and obviously showing you his little outfits as well. This one he's got on today is from H&M. So yeah, like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye!